Holy catfish! It's the aquaponics lady. G'day. Alrighty, so what's the difference between a radial flow filter and a solid separator? And with that, it's also known as a swirl filter. The first thing I want to say is that this is step one of your filtration. This is what we call the mechanical filtration, so the removal of all of the solid waste. Now, in an aquarium, so inside, the mechanical waste is often removed by a piece of matting. The solid waste gets caught up in that and the cleaner water then goes through. Within aquaponics, especially a larger system, we need to have some way of removing solid waste from the system. Now, you can have smaller systems that could be basically the same type of thing and just a little, I've just got a piece of that matting in here and the water comes in, hits the matting, and then all of the solid waste is removed that way so it doesn't go into the grow bed. But in a larger system, we need to have some way of being able to remove the solid waste. Now, there's two common methods, and I'm going to show you the plumbing of both in just a few minutes, and I'm about to have the water draining out, the flood and drain out of the barrels, sorry. The radial flow filter slows the water down a lot. So the whole point is the plumbing, the way it's set up is it really slows your water down in the hope that all of that solid waste will sink to the bottom of your drum. Okay, it's generally a big drum, or even, you can do it in a pail even. But what it does is we have our water flowing anywhere between 1 to 3 times per hour, so it cycles through the system through our grow bed between 1 to 3 times per hour. And what it does is it simply slows the water down, hoping that the solid waste will sink to the bottom. So if you're running a slower system, that's a good thing. If you're running it more towards the 2 to 3 times per hour, which is a good thing, a radial flow filter may slow things down a little bit too much. So this is a personal choice. The solid separator, doesn't work as fast, but the solid waste still still sinks down to the bottom. What's happening is, and I'll be able to show you a lot clearer within the piping element, but what happens is the water comes in at the mid-level of a drum, it swirls around, and then the solid waste still will go to the bottom, whereas the cleaner water without the solid waste rises more to the top and is then taken out and moved into the rest of your system, whether it's your grow bed or wherever you want it to go. But that's the difference. It's almost exactly the same. One just slows the water down a little bit more. I've used both over the period of 15 years, and I'm still with the solid separator. Honestly, it's a lot easier. It doesn't slow my water down, which means I'm still getting good water flow everywhere, and I don't have any waste in my sump. So this is what's working for me, but you need to work out what's working for you. So I'm going to do another video in just a sec to be able to show you the piping, just in a small little demonstration, little drum, show you the difference, because you can try one and then the other. Okay, the piping is not that different, as in the main piping going in and out of your drum, it's not that different. You have a pipe going in down the bottom about the middle way, and you have a pipe at the top that takes the water out. What you do within that is what depends on whether you're doing a solid separator or a radial flow filter. Okay, so the main piping in and out, pretty much exactly the same, just a couple of extra components depending on what you're wanting to do there. So I'll be able to show you, and you can get the clarity there as to how to do the plumbing. But the difference between the two, the radial flow filter does slow everything down. Okay, it's as simple as that. It slows it down, allowing solid waste to fall to the bottom. And the cleaner water leaves out the top. That definitely works. Solid separator swirls it around, and you end up having the solid still sinking to the bottom, and the cleaner water goes out the top. So it does exactly the same thing. One just slows the water down a little bit. Depends on how you're running your system as to which will work best. So I'll be able to show you, and you can then identify which you want to do. And if you change your mind, then you can do that too. You don't have to stick with one thing. Okay, so let's get in and have a look at the other video and look at the plumbing behind it all. So we've been talking about mechanical filtration. Mechanical filtration is where we're needing to remove all of the solid waste so the fish poop and any uneaten food out of the aquaponics system. That's what we call the mechanical filtration. That's the first part of the filtration process. The second part is, for instance, your big grow bed over there, finally getting my hothouse off, and all of the biological filtration happens within the grow bed. So this video is what's the difference between separator and a radial flow filter, which is the mechanical filtration. There's a slight difference between them, but the plumbing is relatively simple and similar. So this is just a 50 litre drum. Now, depending on the size of your aquaponics system, the 50 litre might be good enough, or you might need to be using a 200 litre, or even an IBC, or even a little pail, which, you know, the 20 litre ones. That can vary. It depends on the size of your system, as do the size of your piping. Will depend on the size of your system, what you're using, as well as the heights. Now, my measurements, this is just a demonstration drum, so the heights haven't been calculated based on where the rest of my system is. It's purely to show you the demonstration of how it works and the similarity between the two, which is also why we have my lovely little cat out here. Hello. Okay, so we have our pipe on this side. This is the same for either the solid separator or the radial filter. You need a pipe coming from your fish tank here, swimming around, comes into here, okay? So generally you have it halfway, but again, that can vary. This is the same for either of them. Then we have, on this side over here, we have the outlet pipe. And I'm also going to point out that this Uniseal is not in correctly, but we're just trying to show you the differences here. This is our outlet pipe that goes from our mechanical filter into our grow bed, or your sump, depending on how you've got your system set up. Generally into your grow bed though. This is what we want. All the clean water comes out of the outlet. Okay, so this is the pipe that has all the clean water out. This is the pipe that has all the solid waste coming in. And effectively all the solid waste will come in and sink down to the bottom. The cleaner water that is free from the solid waste will go out that pipe. So let's have a look at the solid separator first. The solid separator would have the pipe coming in, not quite as deep in as what I've got this pipe, but it's an absolute bitch for me to try to pull it out. And then we have the 90 degree and the pipe up top. And what we're going to show you, there's a video that will show you how to build the solid separator, but what I'm wanting to show you at the moment is just literally the difference. Here we have the solid waste coming in, and at 45 angle down, the water will then start swirling around and all the solid waste will sink to the bottom, and the clean water will come up top. And if we bring the camera up and over, we'll actually see the clean water will then go out through this pipe here. Some people have almost a bit of a funnel, or they have a second layer. Each to their own. Works, doesn't work, you know, that's an extra layer. But that is what you would do for your solid separator. Now, the difference, you can have a lid on top, however you want to do your lids or your tops works for you. The radial flow filter has a couple of differences. Instead of this piping here turning down, or at the 45 degree down, it's going to be straight up, and we're having another pipe here, and this will hopefully be in the middle of your drum, right? Then we have, and this is why we needed the cameraman, we have this other pipe, and again there's a video showing you how to build this, but what you'll notice is the water will come up through this inner pipe, and then it'll end up going straight back down this larger pipe. So the radial flow filter will bring the water up through this inner pipe with all the solids, and the solid waste will then drop down through that pipe and hit down towards the bottom. It slows your water down, and it means all of the solid waste will a lot easier drop down to the bottom. And this is where you will usually have an actual lid on top with the hole. We have the screws on top, or the bolts on top, that keep that in place, showing you that the water will come in through this piping, up into the piping, and then out this piping and drop straight down. All the water without the solids will be able to leave the drum through this pipe up here. This pipe here, the outlet pipe, has stayed exactly the same. Now, if you happen to have trouble working and getting your radial flow filter working, take off this pipe, take off the pipe in the middle, and have that angled down at the 45, and we're back to a solid separator. Very much a personal choice. Do they both work? Absolutely, they both work. I've been using solid separators for over 14 years. They're easy. Look, they're what works for me. I don't like cutting tops off and doing what people do to build the bigger ones and the radial flow filters. I still mechanically will siphon out any solid waste in the bottom, but that's me. Every time I put a valve down the bottom of the drum on my aquaponic systems, I kick the valves and break it. So I don't do that. I will mechanically move it out with a siphon. But you can have a valve anywhere that works on your system. But the very basics, the similarities, water comes in from the fish tank with the solid waste. Somehow it will go down and water will go out. The plumbing that you do in between will depend on your preference. The water slows down a lot more with a radial flow filter, but they both work very, very well. The difference is just a little bit of plumbing inside, but they both work. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions or comments, make sure you do leave them below, and hit that subscribe button so you can find out when I've got more videos being posted. And don't forget to follow me on other social media, because I do different lives on different social media on different days. So, again, thank you for watching. I really value and appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.